style is inspired by 90s prep culture, 1920s, 1930s jazz artists, and my dad.
My style is inspired by urban America, particularly hip-hop culture, Mexican cholos, and old school Renaissance jazz era. I love my elders.
My name is Dulcinea Detwah, and I'm an MC and performance artist.
And my name is Kilusan Bautista. I'm a performance artist and an educator.
I'm from Detroit, and I grew up in the 90s era where being preppy and looking like you were stepping onto a golf course was really important. My dad and grandma were always sticklers about quality over quantity. So, what was really important is a nice pair of slacks, a nice button down, and a pair of pennies.
But I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and my neighborhood was the Mission District, so it's very similar to like Spanish Harlem. But on the flip, we had a lot of Mexican Americans, or what we like to call Chicanos. And in the 80s and 90s, Cholo culture was very prominent, and also hip hop culture was very prominent. So myself, with my family coming from the Philippines, I embraced all that and made that into my own personal style. So the diggies, the button up, and also just the flash and pizzazz of hip hop. It formulated my American Filipino identity and style, and how I express myself to the world. Being in your 20s and 30s, New York City, you want to live a very fast life, but having old souls at the same time, it kind of makes you more patient and more understanding. And so I could tolerate a lot more certain, quirks that I don't think the average, just, immediate gratified type of man would accept. But it's a process, and we're part of that process.
We were introduced via a mutual friend. He needed someone to help with choreography and direction for his one-man show. So I became his choreographer and kind of movement director. And we worked together for a few months before we started dating.
And truth be told, I was always attracted to her, but I didn't want to mix business with pleasure. So I waited until our production was over to fully express, with the help of, Lil Bacardi, cranberry juice, to build up my confidence, to let her know how I really felt. But I made sure that the production was done, and since then, actually rewind just a couple of days, I was trying to express it artistically on the dance floor, and we had the story of a bump.
Please don't tell that story. Because
it was
it's
over
ridiculous.
Here in Fort Greene, and they were playing reggae, and so I was like, oh, okay, so let's dance. So I bumped her. You don't, not necessarily like a hard bump, but just let me get your
I hope
attention.
y'all take this out and everything, because a bump, no.
And then we started, dancing, and I was like, oh, okay, so she likes me. And that kind of built up my confidence to verbally say.
Now this is where the cultural difference might come in, because any little black girl dancing on the floor is going to be okay with a bump, okay?
But you act like you're the only black girl I've ever danced with.
I'm just saying though, ain't no bump gonna get me. From Kilusan, I've learned to be more forgiving. I really admire his relationship with his family, and just relationship with the community he's built around him artistically, and he's also really into social justice and things like that.
Right. But what I learned from Lia is to not be afraid to use your voice all the time. So even if it's the little things like, oh, he didn't give you a receipt, you better tell him you didn't get your receipt, or she just bumped you. You better tell him to say excuse me. And I'm like, I want to pick my battles and save my energy, but there's a certain element that I think is moment to moment type of fighting for your rights and justice that I really admire about you. When I went and visited Lia's family in Detroit, I didn't see it like I was crossing over into another culture or community. I felt like I was meeting her family, really wanting to pay respects to father who just passed, and you know, her grandmother. And, you know, you saw how natural it was to just her family just embrace me.